So we'll call the meeting to order. Gang's all here. I guess we have one addition to the agenda. It's just to sign the 2024 Clean School Bus Rebate Program School Awareness Certification. We have approved the expenditure, so I feel like this is something we can sign unless anybody has an issue when we get there. So we'll put that under old business, under hiring committee. We'll do CSB rebate program. Is there any other changes, additions, or deletions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Members of the public, who do we have from the public? We've got Dana.
Nothing this evening, thanks, Chief.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Jacob?
Jake's here for the food service.
Oh, Jake, the food service, Jake.
Yep.
Okay, well, it said Jacob, he threw me.
He's a fancy guy.
Okay, well, thank you. So then we'll bounce over, if there's no other public, we will bounce over to members of the staff. Anne Marie, Scott. Hello?
I'm good, thank you.
You's good? Okay, well, thank you. We always want to make sure we check with you. So then I'm going to jump right into old business. And we have a hiring committee makeup procedure. So, Bob, you had made some changes on that. And Kate, I think you kept some notes on that. Meredith, I forgot to ask you, you all set to rock and roll? I'm sorry. Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Right, so we had a conversation, I think 2 meetings ago, maybe?
Yeah.
And made some adjustments, added to a procedural piece on the back, page 2, which sort of describes the process. So that was one of the questions that was asked. And so the hope is that folks are good with how this tracks. We have the hard copies for you as part of the packet, so hopefully we can move forward. Yeah, I mean, it was really, I think the biggest part of the conversation we had was about the committees and trying to create a system that ensured all stakeholders are involved, but not having something that would be potentially slowed down by having it be too structured if we had a rush and it was a, situation with the pools the way they are, and at times these days we want to try to, make the most of our moments. So, but yeah, we think this reflects the principals and I talked with us a few weeks ago, and they're happy with it. I'm happy with it, and so if you guys are happy with it, it'll become the thing.
Yeah, I thought it was more of a guideline than it is a policy.
It's a procedure more than a policy, yeah.
So that and that was one of the things we want to make sure that it didn't slow things down, and
Right.
and that if we couldn't make the exact numbers, we could still do something. The admins could still, administrators can still do something.
Yeah.
Kate, I know you had some notes. Were you good with that?
I'm good with that. I really appreciate that the team took the time to document the process, and that way, like if we have any team changes, we can know the process and we can stick with it, but we don't have to make it a full procedure. A policy, so I like that. Thank you.
Okay, so are there any other comments? So because it's just a procedure, procedures are adopted by administration, so we don't have anything else to do unless anybody else has any comment. What about our new gentleman?
I have a question.
Hang on one second. We're missing.
Not on there.
I know. Did he? He got everything right.
Everything, maybe he's in the email group, yeah.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Laura.
Did you all think about the possibility of establishing kind of a more set committee for professional staff hiring, just because we've had
Yeah, like on a yearly basis kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think we could do that. I mean, usually we're not getting in. Hopefully, we're not usually getting into it till the winter, right? That's the goal. But it hasn't happened the last couple of years. But yeah, the hope is that if we did have a standing group of parents, maybe a couple board members that were just sort of available,
Yeah.
that when we were ready to pull in interviews, we just know where to start. I think that's a great idea. But we can just solicit that as we get close to hiring season, and if there's a quicker need in the fall or something else happens, which hopefully won't again, we would, we could use last year's group until we have a new group.
I thought we didn't want to do that though, because like even with the transportation, we always have trouble getting the group together.
Well, let's say,
And that
so
was the idea behind this, was just to,
if people weren't available, then we could
Right.
expand it, but it's kind of like basically who can make it. We're in a jam to get this person in, let's say on Tuesday, you know, who's available.
but,
It's
and
kinda-
also it was more like to just make sure there wasn't, it wasn't overweighted to
Correct.
one group or another. It wasn't all board, or it wasn't all parents, or it wasn't all staff to get it good. So, are you good, Laura?
I'm good.
Mike?
Fantastic.
Dwight? Okay, that was easy. Hey, Electric Avenue bus, Dwight, did you see this in your packet? I know it got emailed to you, it was late probably, later.
Yeah, I just saw it. It seemed pretty straightforward. I'm not sure what they're actually asking for.
Heidi's on here too, she can.
Yeah, I'm sorry, before we jump there, Danielle Salway, we already had members of the public. Did you have anything for public? I see you came in late.
No. Oh, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, and then Bridget, for staff, we've been through staff already. Did you?
No, thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Heidi. We're back to the CSB rebate program.
Okay, so I've been spending a little time on the portal because we have a deadline by next Friday to get all this submitted. And what I realized was there's some paperwork that has to be submitted before I can move on through the portal to the other pieces. And so there is a form that I assumed the board chair should sign, just saying we're moving forward with purchasing. And I currently have Dave and Anderson Motors getting me some information about our current bus fleet and the electric bus that we're purchasing. So I was hoping that a motion could be made tonight, just allowing for the board chair to sign this and potentially any other documents that come up as I move through the rebate portal, because it has to be done by next Friday.
Next Friday or this Friday?
Next Friday, the 29th.
But you won't have another meeting.
No, I know. So, okay, are there any questions from anybody? When you're live, it's the last page of the package. I know it got sent out. I think, Heidi, you didn't send it out though. Sue did, yeah. So is there any questions on it?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Are there any questions
Oh, sorry, yeah.
for the board?
No, I
Thank
would make a motion.
Well, before you make a motion, can I ask one question? I was letting you guys ask. Who's going to be the applicant authorized representative? Because I noticed we didn't put anything there.
I'm happy to be that if you need someone from the board. But what's your name listed as, Rich? You're on that as well, right?
School board authorized rep, but it says applicant authorized rep. So, Heidi, you have
So my name is the representative, and I don't think we need to have 3 people. It was more allowing for if there was a representative that was a third party and not a member of the board. So I think just if both Rich and I can sign between being the financial representative and the board chair, I think that covers everything we need.
You reminded me. I remember reading that as well. That makes sense.
Okay, so go ahead, Laura.
Okay, then I move that we authorize the board chair and business manager to be our authorized representatives in the rebate program for the 2024 Clean School Bus Program.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second that.
I'll second. You got it.
Okay, we're gonna give it to Mike. He was a little quicker on the draw being live.
So Rich, the only thing Heidi was also asking was to also have as part of it, if you're from the amendment, to have something that is further authorizes in case other stuff comes up as she gets into the portal.
Well, I think that authorizes
Does that
us to
cover
be
it?
the representatives.
I
yeah.
think authorizing both of you to be our representatives.
It's
Then-
more
then
than
it
fine.
Covers it all.
Yeah.
I don't
okay.
know, but
No,
I think so.
I believe so.
As long as you guys are good with it, yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. Meredith, you have it all set?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, because she didn't say for this specific form. She
That's good.
authorized us to be the reps. Heidi, are you good with that?
I'm good with that if you feel comfortable with that and that I can call upon you and run over to Dover to get your signature when I need it.
I just can't wait to be the one who gets accused of buying the first electric school bus in Windham County.
I
so
would
much.
like a picture of you in front of it, actually.
You could have had it. Yeah. Under the front wheel. Mike and I will be there, pictures of us towing it up the hill when it dies. How's that?
There you
Okay.
go. I love it.
Anyways,
With an excavator with no door.
all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. So I'm going to sign this, Heidi, and give it to Bob, and he can bring it back with him.
Perfect, that's perfect.
Okay.
Eli just joined.
Yeah, I see that. Eli, how are you? We just made a motion, second voted to make you the one who's going to pay for the new bus.
That is not okay.
Oh, how come? Hey, when you guys got a blue pen? I don't have a red pen.
I have no.
Thank you. Okay, so that covers old business. Let's move into food service update because I know Jacob is here. Is Greg here?
Greg's not here, but he and I talked this
Okay.
afternoon. He's on vacation this week, actually. And so I think, hopefully capture what we're looking at here. So, as you guys know, or may know, there was a vacancy at the Wardsboro School for a food service person. We've been unable to fill that vacancy. And it was getting to the point where it was causing some stress on the existing staff. We had a preliminary conversation with Greg and I and Rich a little bit about this, and I think Kate may have been involved, I forget, maybe not, about the idea of like coming to you guys with a proposal to try to solve the problem. And so the proposal in essence is to get a contract of sorts with West River through the food program there to provide food for Wardsboro. That would take the strain off of the existing staff, both here and in Wardsboro, would need to fill the position. And Jake is here to talk a little bit more about the specifics of what it could be, and a little bit about how the pricing might be structured. Part of the plan would be the food to be prepared at Leland and Gray and transported to Wardsboro, which you guys know is a little bit short of a trip than from here to Wardsboro. The car would be basically brought to Leland and Gray and used to transport the food back and forth. And so that is the basic proposal. Jake, I think, can maybe add to that if he has a lot more detail about the food and maybe answer questions about quality and so on and so forth. But that's in essence of the pitch, was to try to solve that problem and to slide him in relatively quickly to get that taken care of, so that we would have an operating food system in Wardsboro. Not that we haven't had it.
Oh, excuse me. I shared some documents in the chat for those who are able to access it. The cost per vended meal breakdown is just a very basic estimate. It is probably what we would ask for each meal that we vended. So there's a lunch price and a breakfast price. It's definitely on the conservative side for us, but I'm pretty confident that it both is a good deal for Wardsboro and covers the.
Jacob, let me interrupt you for 1 sec. Chat isn't supposed to be enabled, I thought,
Right, yeah,
for
we had-
open meeting.
So yeah, we gotta turn off the chat. So
Do that in the settings so you don't have to do it every time.
yeah, you have to do it every time. I think.
Okay, so Jacob, we're sorry, we can't use the chat because it violates open meeting, because people can chat between each other, and it's supposed to be open,
Or close, yeah.
or I mean closed.
This is my first meeting.
No, that's
You didn't
fine.
do anything wrong. You
No,
didn't do
I
anything
just
wrong.
wanted to just make sure we aren't, we don't get any bad press, you know?
I can forward it to the
Can
board.
you put it up on the screen? Because then everybody can see it.
Yeah, I could if I go in.
Or
If
can
I go into the Zoom.
it'd be good if you're talking about it, Jacob, if we can just see it. So give us 1 second, okay?
Absolutely. I'll just put this in as well. There is a vended meals agreement in there that obviously is not anything set in stone. It is just pretty much a basic filled in outline that is provided by the AOE. They want a vended meals agreement between SNAs that vend meals to each other. However, I don't know if this would qualify since we are the same SU. That is something we'll have to ask about. It might not need to be this formal, but this is just like a pretty good starting point, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Bear with me a second.
Okay. Well, you can give Jacob permission to share, can't you, too?
Yes.
That may be quicker.
All right. One second. Sorry about this. I'm just about there. All right.
Perfect. Yeah, so very basic costs. Really just the main things you would consider off the bat, as in fuel and labor, which obviously is the biggest one. Fuel and packaging is almost not worth mentioning, but I guess it's worth looking at. So honestly, it wouldn't be bad. Yeah, I'm open to any questions. I can explain more. Whatever you guys are interested in hearing, please just ask away.
Well, Bob, can you maybe, or Heidi, I mean, we're paying right now for the vehicle for transportation. So I mean, I think the only difference is now it's going to be maybe a little less mileage, and we're paying for labor because we're running somebody from here over there. We're paying for packaging now because we're packaging from here. Right? So I mean, the only really additional cost, and how does this compare
Well,
with?
so you're not gonna replace the employee
Right.
that's vacant, so you're gonna save some money there, and then you're gonna be this, and then this cost will be going out.
Right.
What we didn't know, what I pushed Greg on, and, you know, obviously Jake doesn't know the cost of your employee to begin with, so it's hard for him to make an assessment, but what we don't know is, Greg said his estimate was that it's gonna be around the same cost, whether it's slightly above, slightly below, or right at the same, he wasn't exactly sure. And I don't know if there's a way, I guess it depends on the number of meals. Is that accurate, Jake?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the more meals that you serve to your students, the more you can be reimbursed for, and it starts to drive the costs lower and lower. I just obviously, again, I don't know the ins and outs of what's happening now, but I can't imagine that it's going to be a large price difference for you.
I just don't have the dollar amounts
Okay.
off the top of my head.
So would we be able to get that though? I mean, it's hard to make a decision without knowing the cost because we budgeted so much money. We've already been over budget on several things.
Yeah.
So we're asking where some of that money's going to come from.
Yep.
You know, and again, I trust that you guys are going to look out for us, and we can't find anybody else. We do have to supply meals, but is that going to be another $20,000 we're going to have to find in the operating budgets, or is it, you know, close enough that it may be a wash? And I think that's important for us to know.
There's also can be a reduction in salary for what you guys had your food manager because there's not 2 sites to manage anymore. So there can be a reduction in salary there to have a food assistant, and so that will also save you some money, and then not replacing the staff. So, but I think when you factor in benefits and everything as well, and again, I don't know what the numbers were. Jake, do you know what the participation rates were in Wardsboro?
I don't know by percentage, but when I looked, it does hover around about 15 breakfasts and 30 lunch. It goes up and down from there.
Yeah. So even so, at least like if that goes up, then you guys are saving more money in essence. So. Yeah, without having an exact number, I mean, I don't know, but my sense is, and what Greg has said, if he was here, he would just say it's going to be rough. It's going to be around the same cost with the reduction of the manager position. You're probably going to end up saving some money.
And if I can interject, I know there's probably more nuance to this, but as I see it, off the bat here. The meals are going to be vended from West River, and they'll be served by a West River employee. I'm sure as we figure this out, some of that cost is going to be attributed to River Valley, but we have an employee ready to go. She's already accepted. She said she would be happy to do the driving and the serving. So we're not going to need to hire someone off the bat. We already have an employee on the books.
But that employee we'll have to compensate West River for that.
Right, that's built into this price, is that right,
Oh,
Jay?
that's built into the price?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Again, and I'll shut up in a second, but fool me once, shame on me. Can somebody give us some numbers at some point?
So Jay, can I spell it out? You have labor costs as a daily
No,
cost.
but there's no costing what we're paying now. That's what
Right.
we can't compare anything. So those numbers look really good. You go out anywhere for a meal, you're not going to buy a lunch or a breakfast for $4.77 or $6.83. We know that. But if right now we're only paying $3, it works out to then we're doubling what we're spending, and then we don't know where it is on the budget. That's kind of, I think, the important thing I'd like to see.
Heidi, can you speak to what the cost is currently?
Well, I was looking at their budget earlier today, and actually they've spent half their food budget right at the moment. Now, I can see what we're paying the current employee, but I probably, that's confidential, obviously. I think it's safe to say that with the control that Jake is going to have over the cost of meals, you're going to find some savings. I can put it into something formal to give to the board, but I don't want to start talking about salaries.
Well, Heidi, can you talk about the pay rate of the position that is vacant?
I can say the current pay rate is $26 an hour.
Of that vacant position?
Of the position that's going to be vacant.
No, the Wardsboro position that's vacant.
Oh, I thought that person was still doing Wardsboro, so.
There's nobody in Wardsboro currently. We have somebody covering from the Dover supervisor has been covering, or the River Valley supervisor has been covering it. There's been a vacancy for a while now.
Okay. I wasn't sure who that was. I'm going to guess that it was probably a $20 an hour pay rate, though.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah.
So that was a full-time position?
I don't believe it was a full-time position. I think that the person, at least, I don't think it was full-time, no.
I think they started here in the morning.
It was full-time. It was.
Wasn't it combined with something else? No? Oh.
They came here, they set up in the morning, they brought the...
But it was a school, it was not a full-time year-round position. It was
Not year-round, it was a school year, but it was a full day.
Yeah.
Day, yeah, okay.
So you have that,
So-
$20 an hour times that, so...
If I may, if we decided to go with this vended meals agreement, I don't see a need to even fill that position. You could probably eliminate that position. I factored in someone serving for the meal periods into this cost, and I'm confident that this number, again, both is probably almost definitely going to save you money. I don't know exactly what you're spending right now, but it's also going to cover our costs. So it's kind of a win-win. We want to help you guys out. We don't want to make money off of you. We just want to make sure that we can get good food to kids consistently, right? So with this price, I feel everything's going to even out, and that's really the goal in the end, is to break even in school food service. We're not trying to make a buck here at all, and I think it's going to, first of all, get rid of a lot of headache for you guys, because you really could just eliminate that open position. I have this vision that this is actually going to work in really well with us, because we're also starting to vend meals. We're starting to deliver meals to Townsend, and we already deliver meals to Jamaica. So we're really trying to turn Leland and Gray into more of a central production kitchen, where we are focusing on producing this food, keeping it at a high quality, packaging it correctly, making sure to take care of the temperatures and keeping an eye on that really well. And just having Wardsboro in here it's just we're going to be able to absorb that. And it's going to bring the cost down a lot, if that makes sense.
I think what Rich is trying to figure out is what the estimate of this cost is, the vended meal arrangement, compared to what the existing cost was for the existing staff member.
So if you're talking about a staff member working 7.5 hours a day, then you're talking $150 plus FICA and any other benefits. Whereas this is $107, and this is also taking into account food.
But is it taking into account the car too? Because we're still responsible for the vehicle.
Not the maintenance, yeah, but the fuel.
Mileage and the fuel.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess, well, hey, in TV land, because we can't see you, Eli or Dwight or Kate, do you have any questions or comments? I've been kind of running my mouth.
No, this all seems pretty straightforward to me.
Kate or Dwight?
I think it's definitely tricky to change midstream, but at the same time, what's currently happening isn't working, and we need to make sure that we get these kids fed. So that seems like the most important element to me. Yeah. And we won't know the full cost of everything till we can compare it in an apples to apples viewpoint, because this gives us some idea of the direction of the cost. But like you guys were saying, like, we don't have a full breakdown of what we're currently paying.
Okay, and Dwight?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're behind the 8 ball here a little bit. It does seem unfortunate. I've been hearing so many positive things about the meals in Dover, and that we were able to keep that, kind of in-house between the two schools seemed like a good thing. But, we can only do what we can do. And if we don't have the staff, then it's not really possible. Would this be a contracted job for the rest of the year, or how would that work in terms of, how long do we have, is this something we would just contract for the rest of the school year and then reassess it next year? How would that work?
Jake, do you want to jump in on that one?
I can't speak to what anyone decides, but we are more than willing to take this on in the long term to make it a permanent thing.
But the contract that they'd be talking about signing, the agreement today, would be for this school year only, right?
That's all we can sign until we have a budget.
Yeah. So they can only do for this school year anyways, Dwight. And so that will give you the opportunity to assess it, get some feedback from kids on how the food is, and then in the spring, Jake can come back with a proposal, and you guys can figure it out.
In January when we start budget.
Right. Yeah, I'll give you a month, enough test time, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're all set, Dwight? Mike or Laura?
Makes a lot of sense to me. Because, just creating some efficiencies in our SU, and seems like it will be cost effective and reliable, which is important. Make sure the kids are getting fed.
Mike?
Like all that, I would love to see the vended lunch price and breakfast price from where we are now, and see if there was, a split graph, if you will, of what our fuel and employee and the lunch cost now would be. But
yeah, so because it's not vended, now you'd have to compare just, labor and car costs and food costs, which is different than how he's done this. So it'd be a different kind of math.
Well, there's gonna be a few things going on, because we have fixed costs. We have so much for the labor, but we also have labor here. We spent a whole bunch of money on a new hood and new appliances in the last couple of years. And then that's a fixed cost per meal. It'll be interesting to see how many more people take meals now, because if we're not doing a good job and they do a better job, then we should see the meals go up. I don't know, maybe our admin over in Wardsboro can speak to it, what percentage of the students, if they're doing 30 lunches, that's gotta be...
They have 47 students.
Right, so that's like 70-something%, right? What do you do for lunch here, roughly, percentage-wise, of your students?
Well, it depends on the meal, but usually Usually, I would say we are about between 65 and 70.
So in the same ballpark. And then, but I thought I saw in one of your reports that with the salad bars there with
Yeah,
the
the fresh
hot.
fruits and veggie program, and the offer versus serve requires us to buy a whole lot more fresh fruits and vegetables, and they're more expensive. But because of the fresh fruits and veggie program, we get a bounce back amount. Heidi might know exactly what that is. I don't know what it is, but it's thousands of dollars that we get back for just offering kids, you know, cherries and carrots for snack,
Okay.
just so they can try them. So it's kind of great.
Well, because the other place I was trying to head with this, but without having numbers, is it something maybe that we would want to think about closing this kitchen and having them, if they're a central location for food, and do the same thing in this building as we're doing in the Wardsboro building? You know, and what does that look
I
like?
mean, one key, I mean, you could in future years talk about having Jake to take over the whole operation. We could actually talk even about it becoming an SU operation than just West River District that you purchase from. But the other side of it is the kitchen here can actually prep food,
Right.
whereas the one in Wardsboro can't. So there is a difference. Wardsboro, you know, you'd have to have food delivered from somewhere. But here you can do your own and have it a little bit more fresh. So there is a benefit, but I think without getting into details, I think Jake, if there was arrangement made between the districts, that there probably could be a merge program that could do the whole thing.
Or even so that the meals are the same in both buildings.
Yeah.
And, you know,
We
so.
use
Jake's menu.
Jake's menu this year. So this
Oh.
is the first year that our meals have been the same as
The SU.
yeah,
Rest of the
entire
SU. Oh, okay. So I guess, what do we need to do, Bob? We just need to say yes? Do we need to vote?
But I mean, it's probably good to have, because there is an agreement that you're going into, I think. I don't know if it's a formal contract. Is that how it works, Jake? Is it a formal contract?
I gotta check back up on that. I don't think it needs to be super formal since we're in the same SU, but I will email the state right after you guys decide.
Yeah, so I guess if you guys vote that you're moving to have West River for the rest of the school year take over just food service and distribution in Wardsboro, that's probably, he can deal with the details on that.
Okay, so how about if we go away from, is everybody good with the screen share?
I can cancel that, yep.
Okay, so is there any other questions? Any other comments? Would somebody like to make a motion?
What is the motion? I move that we
Enter into an agreement with
Enter
West River
into an
to
agreement.
supply food for the Wardsboro building.
so moved.
Meredith, did you get that?
I did not. I couldn't hear it.
Okay, so Laura moved that we enter into an agreement with the West River District to supply food for the Wardsboro building for the balance of the year, for the remainder of the year. Is there a second to that motion?
Kate will second.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Is there any discussion? Okay, the only discussion I have is, Heidi, I know it's a little rough time for you right now, so I don't want to add any to your burden, but when we start looking at our budget, I'd really like to see the comparisons. So, I mean, I think we have no choice right now, but for future, I think it would be really good for us for planning for next year.
I will put that together. Yep.
Yeah, but
I made some
there's
notes.
no rush.
Price per meal like that.
Yeah, I like the price per meal, but I think also the problem is under our previous, the way we were doing it, it didn't matter how many meals you served, there was X number of fixed costs, so the price per meal would vary. They're offering us a guarantee, you know, a really set price, which is gonna make it a little easier, I think.
The budget.
Right. Okay, so is there any other discussion? Administrators, you guys are all good? Are you good over there in Wardsboro? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Thank you, Jake. That was a lot of good work, and I've had your meals a few times, and you do a very good job, and you do some really nice meals, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'll be in touch. Thank you all.
Okay. And make sure we thank Greg, because I know Greg was a big part of this, and thank you, our administrators, for trying to keep the wheels on on the vehicle for a while, the bus. I was gonna say on the ship, but they don't usually have wheels. So, superintendent's update.
Yeah, so I think I gave my report last meeting. Don't have anything terribly new, although I will say that Wednesday night the SU board is meeting. They will be reviewing the budget, potentially approving it, we're not sure, but they will be reviewing the SU budget. All board members, of course, are invited. You guys have some voting members who should be there to vote on that. The assessments will obviously go towards your district budget at some point, so it's pretty important. Heidi has been,
why don't you give us a quick overview, Bob?
It's not hyperbole to say that Heidi's been working around the clock on this. She literally, I don't think she took a day off this weekend. Her vacation was to go grocery shopping, she told me. So she's putting in tons of hours. I'll give you the quick and dirty view is that revenue is down more than it should be. And that means the federal money, state money, special ed, so on and so forth. Revenues are down across the board. Our costs are up, I would say a reasonable amount, so I think it was 6%. That includes the 12% that's built into that with the healthcare increases. And I forget the exact number. There's, I'm gonna say 80. Does that sound about right? 80 staff involved in this budget. Is that accurate? Something like that?
Yes, 89.
89. So that's special educators, ASTs, all of the
central
office people, so on and so forth. So, yeah, so that's overall where we're at. But because the revenues are down, there are increases in the assessments. There's a use of fund balance that we'll have to make a final decision on to help keep that reasonable. But yeah, they're going to be up more than you'd probably like them to be. And I will add to this, one of the other things I've been working with the SU Executive Committee on is that we'll be conducting an audit of our MTSS systems to really analyze across the SU, are we taking our resources and distributing them equitably, and are we getting the best bang for our buck in the delivery of those resources, and are we getting the best bang for our buck in the delivery of our Tier 1 instruction as the gen ed teachers, classroom teachers across the board, and how do we use time for interventions, so on and so forth. All of this together, and to analyze even the central office approach to this, like our org chart and how it pushes these services to kids out, to make a recommendation to us to be able to maybe make some changes, and the hope is find some efficiencies while improving outcomes for kids. So it's sort of, I think we are trying to realize as the reductions keep coming from the out of 173 in particular, that we're being more efficient in how we approach this. And rather than operating from a siloed approach, that we're blending our services in a way that benefits kids and potentially saves money. So that exploration will be happening over the next couple of months. Unfortunately, this budget has to get adopted first to help build your district budgets. But we may find savings later on once we get that audit done. So that is, I think, what I got at this point.
Are there any questions for Bob? Go ahead.
No questions, just noting, as I'm sure a lot of you have heard, I have heard a lot of angst in the community about budgets, so I expect this is not going to be a normal budgeting year discussion.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
And everyone should be sharpening
Their pens. So they leak ink. You all set?
Yeah.
Any questions for Superintendent Bob? So while we're on budgets, because and then we're gonna go visit with Heidi for a minute, because Heidi gave us a profit and loss summary through November, which will get updated when we get closer to budget. but there was a lot of discussion at the VSBA conference on budgets too, and bring how to do it. And there was some, remembering that everything is set up for bigger districts, not for our district. So Burlington School was one of the presenters, and it was an interesting concept where they take right off the top each building that they have, and they have the money to run the building, to heat it, to have the electric, to maintain the building, because whether you have one student or 1,000 students, you got to heat the building, you have to light the building, you have to have electricity. And then after that, each building administrator gets X number of dollars per pupil, and that's how they achieve equity throughout. And then the building gets to decide how they want to spend that money. The problem is, again, that doesn't really work here, because once you put the staff in the building and you heat the building and pay for the lights, etc., really the balance is not a lot. So they teach, again, it's like everything we do is for big districts, and I remember back to Act 60 when Peter Shumlin made the comment that New York City has more pupils to educate than the entire state of Vermont. So why do we need all these schools and all the superintendents and secretaries, and well, back then it was a commissioner and stuff. So I made the comment to him that it's interesting because there's more people in New Hampshire than there is in Vermont. So New York City has more people than the entire state of Vermont, and they only have a mayor. So why are you running for governor? Maybe you should just be the mayor of Vermont. And it's hard to compare apples to apples in other areas. So it is. I do agree. It's going to be an interesting budgeting season. But again, too, until the legislature decides what they're going to do and the federal government decides what they're going to do, we do know MTSS is way down because that model was set up a few years ago, but that could change.
Yeah.
So
I think I read just today, actually, it might have been a story in the Digger about there was a couple people, legislators talking about a whole different model of funding that didn't derive on schools passing budgets and then getting money back. It was derived on sort of that strategic model you're describing, which is like, here's how many kids you get, here's your block grant, good luck.
But that's what they're doing now.
Yeah. Well, sort of, but it's driven by, but you still pass a budget. This would be a different kind of model. And then you get to decide how you spend that kind of thing.
So we only get what they give us.
But it would be less, presumably.
Of course.
Right? And the concept of right sizing was the phrase that we used. So anyways, who knows how it's all going to play itself out, but I think this legislative session will be interesting to watch. Right, Laura?
Okay, so, Kate, I don't remember approving any financials. I thought we went to once a month, or are we at twice a month?
We're going to make the switch to twice is what we were going to do.
Okay, but not now.
It may not have kicked off yet. It might be after the holidays, maybe.
But Heidi, you did a really nice chart for us. And it's a profit and loss summary. So it's a little different than ones I'm used to looking at, but what I kind of see is that you're, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Lori, and I looked at a couple different ones and I wasn't sure which Lori had used in the past. This is just a quick summary and we can do more detailed when I bring in the budget. The number you really care about is on the last page under total committed for $783,000. That's what you're showing as a surplus right now. But after talking to Lori O'Hearn and Jen Finaldi, I know that there's still tuition out there that they haven't received bills on. So that will definitely go down. But we have a lot of things encumbered. So I'm not quite sure how much it'll go down, but that's where we're at in November.
So I see the variance of 736, 926, 38. Is that, but you just said a different number, I thought.
Well, the total committed, the seven at the bottom of the third page, $783,751 under total committed.
Okay.
Do you see that? That's what I'm referring to as what's showing as a net position surplus right at the moment.
I'm not seeing that number.
I'm not
on
either.
The third page.
The total committed net position for Fund 1001 is 439,301.06 on what I'm looking at.
I wonder if Sue sent the wrong, do me a favor and look at the top. Is it say River Valley?
Yep. Yeah, it's River Valley's 11/18/24, 407.
Oh, mine says 13/14/58.
I am sorry. I don't know. I had given her two different schools, but I can't imagine this is different than, is the chart profit and loss report through November 2025?
Yeah, so it shows the adopted budget, it shows the prior year budget, it shows the period actual, which doesn't matter, but it says encumbrances total committed. So it shows us with a total budget of 6,845,217. The total committed is 6,257,103.28. So the variance is 588,000. The difference between those two. So it's a variance of around 8.6%, which is about what we usually run. So I mean that looks
Looks right. It's definitely different than the one that I grabbed on my way home, so I'm not quite sure why that is.
Well, either one of them is really good. Yours is a little better than ours, so.
Definitely has more on this sheet, so I apologize. Thought I had my act together, and clearly I didn't.
No, that's fine. I mean, it does, at least we're not in negative numbers. At least it doesn't look.
Negative numbers, nope. And I will have another one. I'm assuming at the next meeting you'd like me there and we can start talking about budgeting. So,
no, you can skip the next one because you know, it's the beginning of January where we should have you here once you get the other budgets all done. You can concentrate on WCSU and the other schools that have to get them out earlier.
Okay, well, I will definitely get you another copy for your next meeting and make sure it's the same thing.
Do it for the second meeting of the month.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? It's a little confusing, but it does look like we you know, all things being equal and nothing really comes up and smacks us upside the head, that we shouldn't be running it into negative numbers, a deficit. We should have some surplus. And you know, again, until they audit the numbers in August, we never know for sure. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Okay. Well, Heidi, thank you very much.
Sorry for the confusion.
No, don't worry about it. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of different things moving around. Hey, home team. No, wait, visitors go first.
All right. Hi, everybody. Well, first of all, thank you for putting Jake in Wardsboro. We needed something different. Wasn't really working so great. So hopefully this will be better. Let's see. Over at Wardsboro, again, a couple busy weeks. The teachers have been involved in a lot of training. Paras, staff, myself. So that's been great. We've been sharing out with the staff. Two of us went down to observe another school in Ludlow that has been doing EL in multi-grade classrooms, which is a bit of a challenge. So it was nice being able to talk to somebody who's been doing it for, I think this is their third year. So that was super helpful. As far as kids go, I think I told you about the Wardsboro Warrior plow truck. So they came and we got our photo op in. Celebrated Kindness Day, which was Wednesday. And this week is Spirit Week. So we're having a lot of fun, like wearing silly hats and silly socks and pajamas and all that stuff. As far as academic proficiency, we noticed with all the data that where we were kind of falling low was on reading fluency. So school-wide, we're implementing some strategies to kind of beef that up. And we're seeing some good uptick. So yeah, we're going to just keep going at it. I think everybody's looking forward to a week off. It's been a long stretch. So we'll come back after Thanksgiving rejuvenated and ready to go, and hopefully some snow on the ground.
It's not something I
Push
push
that.
Oh, come on, you guys live in Vermont. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta love snow, right, Tracy?
You don't have to love snow at all. Some of it.
And you guys are living in the wrong place.
Hey.
I'm looking forward to the snow.
I'm looking forward to Whitingham kind of snow, you know, where it's only like a few inches instead of a few feet.
Uh-huh. Yeah, okay, Rick.
Any questions for
We get more snow than
Wardsboro?
you guys do.
Huh?
I said we get more snow than they do up here.
I know. We're a little higher. Okay. Now it's home team.
I received an email today that Wendy Johnson was recognized by the American Heart Association as the Teacher Spotlight. So that was pretty cool. She is on their Facebook page, their website. I shared out on our Facebook page. So we're super proud of her. She does a lot of great work for the American Heart Association, so it was great to see her recognized. We have been involved in lots of trainings too. I took a training last week to look at our educational support team process, which was really great. Learned a lot of things, got some great templates and things to use. Teachers will really be happy about the less paperwork it's going to take for an EST process, which I'm super excited about. Francesca, the two principals from Townsend and Newbrook, Scotty and Randy, we all got together. We needed a long-term sub for music, and you wouldn't think that would be something easy to find, but we found an amazing woman.
Oh, nice.
And she's really excited to, she accepted the position, and she's super excited, and she's really great. It'll be a good fit. And lastly, we are celebrating Diabetes Awareness Week. One of our students has put this together on her own with our counselor. So we'll be wearing blue on Wednesday. If you want to join us. That's all I have.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything for the home team? Guys are making it too easy. Gotta throw them a few curveballs. Anybody with any other new business? We got 5 minutes to kill. Well, 3 depending which clock you look at. Minutes of 11/4/24. We need a motion to approve. I'm sorry. Are there any issues with? Does anybody have any issues, comments with the minutes?
No.
If not, by unanimous consent, we'll accept the minutes. Good job, Meredith. Again, I'm sorry, Deerfield Valley News person. I forgot to ask you if you had anything earlier on. I just kind of saw you bouncing around there.
I don't think so. Thank you, though.
Okay, well, thank you for covering us and thank you for being there. I have no correspondence. Is it you, Bob, or Heidi, or Heidi left us. Tracy, Francesca, no, she's gone. Okay. I think the next thing to do is to make a motion to do something that we're a little early for, but.
I move we adjourn.
Okay, folks.
Sad, right?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll see you December 2nd in Wardsboro. Maybe there'll be 3 feet of snow on the ground.
No.
Hard telling, not knowing. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, everyone.